My ice-cold beauty CEO wife's company went public. Her net worth skyrocketed. What should I, a mere wage slave, do? What else is there to do? Divorce her immediately. Any hesitation longer than 0. 1 second is disrespecting money. Take the tens of millions in breakup fees from my wife, pack my bags like a boss, and get out. Chloe looked at me with red eyes. You've got guts, Ethan, daring to mention divorce to me. 5 years. Do my brothers know how I've lived these past 5 years? It's not the fear of losing the bet. It's the fear of quitting. Whose kids cry every day? Whose gamblers lose every day? Chloe has finally made it, enough to make me financially free. Of course, the real reason I want a divorce isn't because she got rich. Who in their right mind would do that? It's mainly because I noticed some warning signs that Chloe is about to cheat. It would be a lie to say I'm not hurt or sad. With Chloe's looks and figure, I'd accept her even if she were an idiot. From the day she became CEO of the company, I vaguely predicted this day might come. Men get bad when they have money. Actually, it's more accurate to remove the word men. Anyone gets bad when they have money. Chloe probably doesn't know that she was on a hands-free call in the restroom that day, and I accidentally overheard it. The City Magazine's Jack is not only handsome and capable, but also your alumni. Do you have any thoughts? It was her good friend Lily's voice. Chloe replied while touching up her makeup. Don't talk nonsense. We're just ordinary friends. Do I not know you? What kind of good friend gives an ordinary friend a Mercedes AMG GT 63? Even if you're rich, you can't throw money around like that. I froze in the doorway of the restroom. I was originally going to ask her what she wanted for dinner, but I was stunned in place. That luxury car is the dream car of many men. Chloe used to say that when she got rich, she would buy one for me. Now she's rich, and she bought one, but it's not for me. It's just a car, it's nothing. Chloe replied casually. Lily, on the other end, chuckled in agreement. Okay, then I'll keep an eye on him for you, lest he be snatched away by another woman. Whatever, Chloe said, and hung up the phone. Their conversation was like casual chatter, talking about unimportant things. But I, separated by a door, felt like I'd been struck by lightning. I remember back then, we mortgaged our wedding house and borrowed money everywhere to start the company. We didn't even have tens of thousands of dollars to hold a wedding banquet. Recently, Chloe suddenly remembered this and planned to hold a lavish wedding. I thought it was because of love, but it turned out that she had an emotional affair and wanted to compensate me out of guilt. As for whether she had a physical affair, I couldn't say for sure. She values her reputation very much, so she probably wouldn't cheat during the marriage. But women, the only constant trait is changeability. She can be loving and affectionate with me here, but that doesn't stop her from being good to another man. What I want is a mutual love. Since she has thoughts of finding a new love, I don't want to be a cuckoo. I contacted a lawyer and arranged to meet at a tea house. On the TV in the tea room, Chloe's company was going public, instantly becoming the richest in the city. And the interviewer and reporter was none other than that Jack, whom I had never met. He looked upright and handsome, with the fair and tender complexion of a young idol. It seems like girls nowadays like this kind of handsome guy. On TV, Jack was gentle and refined, a model gentleman, knowledgeable in astronomy, geography, and history. He could readily cite various allusions and poems, and was not at all intimidated in front of the live broadcast and billionaires. I, to say nothing of a woman, was drawn to him. Seeing me staring at the TV, David, my high school friend and lawyer, couldn't help but joke, "He's a lot like you in college, this guy named Jack." I stood up suddenly. How the hell is he like me? Look at him. He's clearly lacking in young energy, a delicate little pretty boy. I'm a real man. David smiled and shook his head. You're both alumni, and he's considered a well-known one. At the previous alumni gatherings, everyone thought so. You guys are the same type. I never thought that in everyone's eyes back in college. I was just a pretty boy. Not in the mood to continue discussing this. I looked up at David. I'm here to consult with you. I want a divorce. David's hand holding the teacup shook, and he looked at me in shock. Ethan, have you lost your mind? Back then, you borrowed money everywhere, and now you've finally seen the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're telling me you want a divorce? Do you think I would ask you out just to joke about a divorce? David took a sip of tea, still seemingly unable to shake off the shock. But it's no wonder. 5 years ago, Chloe's company was on the verge of bankruptcy and was about to become a defaulter. I selflessly took out my wedding savings and mortgaged the house I had painstakingly prepared for our wedding. Finally, relying on a good reputation, I borrowed a lot of money and helped Chloe through the crisis. If she hadn't turned things around, I would either have become a deadbeat or jumped off a building. You chose to marry her when she was at her poorest and most downcast. And now that she's rich, you want a divorce. You're doing things as unexpectedly as you did in college. David smiled and poured us both hot tea. I self-deprecatingly said, David, back then she was almost bankrupt and emotionally vulnerable. I could control her both financially and emotionally. But now, she's the #1 beauty in Shanghai, the richest person in Shanghai, and I'm a 9-to-5 office worker. Do you think I can still control her? David sighed softly, not saying anything. I picked up my teacup, drank half of it, leaned back in a wooden chair, and looked at David. You've handled so many divorce cases. I think you understand the principle best. People are afraid of their friends suffering, but also afraid of their friends driving a Land Rover. Women are even more ruthless. She might even find a new lover. Did Chloe cheat on you? Thinking of the scene in the bathroom earlier, I could only analyze uncertainly, not sure, but I guess it's coming soon. David lightly tapped the table. Well, that's that then. Thinking about committing a crime isn't a crime. If you try to dissuade her in time, directly sentencing her to death is a bit too much. David's words made me waver for a few seconds. Then I thought about Chloe's nonchalant words. A woman not rejecting a man is tantamount to tacitly allowing him to take things further, right? I chuckled. David, tell me, in the divorce cases you've handled, how many people have been able to turn back to shore? By the time we're in court, nobody will be looking good. David was stumped by my words, but still frowned and tried to persuade me. Brother, it's only been a short time. You're being too calm and composed. From the moment her company came back to life, I was prepared for something like this to happen. Not just this Jack, but also her male secretary, etc. I didn't continue after saying that. Some things didn't need to be said for David to understand. How many times had I gone to Chloe's company? And, as her husband, I had to make an appointment to see her. Every day, there would be different styles of roses in front of her desk. I had seen her having dinner with her male secretary, and I had seen through the crack in the door her male secretary pulling up the zipper of her dress. After the two of them tidied up, I knocked on the door and entered and handed her the old hen soup that I had stewed all morning. When it was time to get off work, Chloe's driver specially came to my house and brought me the lunchbox containing the chicken soup. Not a single drop of soup was missing, and even the bow I had tied hadn't been touched. But there was a piece of cigarette ash on it. After listening to me calmly recounting everything, David nodded and smiled. I should have you give a lecture to my clients, instead of them thinking about fighting over the property all day. It's different. A wife who shared hardship, a husband who knew poverty, someone who supported their partner from the bottom to success. No one would be willing to let that go. No man would be willing to hand over such an outstanding and beautiful wife to someone else, and neither would I. Looking at the bustling traffic outside the window, I said helplessly, there's no choice. Tearing each other apart is not only unseemly, but could also lead to nothing. It's best to end things with some dignity now and take what's rightfully mine. At the same time, I secretly made up my mind that before the divorce, I would meet this Jack. When Chloe came home, I was in the living room watching the program where Jack interviewed her. Chloe sat next to me. How is it? Your wife is photogenic, right? Lots of guys online are calling me wife. She acted so naturally that I almost suspected she had only given Jack an AMG model car. I've always wanted a sports coupe, I said casually. Chloe's eyes crinkled with a smile. Sure, let's go buy whichever one you like. Looking at her nonchalantly, a Mercedes AMG. The smile on Chloe's face froze, then she pursed her lips. Didn't you say the Panamera was very beautiful before? Smiling, I nodded. That's fine too. Let's get the Panamera then, but I want the top-of-the-line model. I chose the top of the line because my car had to be more expensive than the AMG GT63. The day after picking up the car, I had my first accident, a head-on collision with Jack's AMG. Jack stood on the curb with a gloomy face, his eyes filled with resentment. The luxury car collision attracted a lot of onlookers, and soon the traffic police arrived. Mr. Jack, the surveillance and dashcam footage show that you are fully responsible for changing lanes over a solid line. Jack looked at his beloved car with heartache, not listening to a word the traffic police said. The side of his AMG was dented, the headlights were broken, and the tires were gone. Which idiot was driving? Couldn't you have yielded when you saw me changing lanes? I don't care about points, but are you satisfied now? Both cars need major repairs. Jack's eyes were red, and he looked aggrieved. His unmanly behavior stunned the traffic police. Was this how reason worked? The driver stuck behind watched from the side, and, hearing Jack's words, got angry. Are you a woman? Do you need to be given lady priority? You drive an AMG GT, and he drives a Panamera. Why should we indulge you? Humph. I am a civilized person, so I waited for the traffic police to arrive before getting out of the car to avoid unnecessary arguments. As soon as I opened the door, Jack pointed at me and shouted, "Couldn't you have yielded when I changed lanes? I'm in a hurry." Oh, driving a car worth over $1 million and you're still in a hurry? Seems like this AMG GT63 can't change your fate after all. As I spoke, I looked up. The moment Jack saw my face, his expression froze, and he looked visibly nervous. He turned to the traffic police and said, "I'm leaving after you finish handling this. The insurance company will talk to the other party." He then left without looking back. I was planning a divorce, but this Jack seemed even more eager than I was. Everyone was driving straight before, so he might have deliberately crossed the solid line to crash into me. I called David at home. "Have you drafted the divorce agreement yet?" David was taken aback on the other end of the phone. "Wait, you're serious about this, old classmate? I was still thinking you should reconsider and try to salvage it." "Can't do it, huh? Then I'll find someone else tomorrow." No, I'll send it over to you first thing in the morning. Okay." Before I even went to work the next day, David handed me a file folder. I opened it, and sure enough, it was the divorce agreement I wanted, detailed and well organized. I didn't lose out, but I didn't gain much either. After all, even if I calculated my capital investment as part of the founding team, my current profits would only be more, not less. I knocked on the door and walked into Chloe's office. "President Chloe, I have a favor to ask." Chloe leaned back in her executive chair, looking at me. "We're husband and wife. Ask for whatever you want." I put both hands on the desk, leaning forward, looking at her delicate face at close range. "Very well, I want something." "What is it?" "The keys to a Mercedes-Benz AMG GT63. Chloe's expression froze, staring into my eyes. Our gazes locked without either of us backing down. Finally, Chloe forced a smile. "Ethan, stop joking. It's just a car. It's not worth much." I didn't follow her train of thought and asked directly, "Can you give it to me?" Chloe frowned slightly, staring at me for a few seconds, as if trying to confirm if I was joking, until I stared back at her blankly. "I'll give it to you tomorrow." I smiled and nodded, not saying anything more, and left the CEO's office. Before I closed the door, Chloe asked, "Are you jealous?" I stopped, without turning back. "Say whatever you want." As soon as I closed the door, I heard the sound of a glass breaking inside the office. After getting the keys to the AMG GT, I came to a cafe below the City Evening News weekly building. I asked Jack to come out for a chat. I happened to bump into Jack as he came in. He looked much worse than he did in the television interview. He also had dark circles under his eyes. I wondered if it was because his car was being taken back. I sat at a table by the window and pointed to the seat opposite me. "Mr. Jack, please sit down." When he saw the AMG keys on the table, his pupils contracted sharply, and he slammed into the chair. "Mr. Ethan, are you here to show off to me?" Jack ran a hand through his hair, displaying his fair face. "It's just that, for a strong woman like Chloe, taking back something she gave away will only lead her to compensate me with something even more valuable in the future." I nodded in agreement. Of course I understand such a simple principle, but it's not a big deal. But isn't Mr. Ethan doing this putting Chloe in a bad light, making her lose face? Looking at the self-righteous Jack, I quietly pushed the keys in front of him. "Her face isn't worth anything to me. Mr. Jack, with my current net worth, there's nothing to show off about with an AMG. The reason I wanted it back was just to..." I paused for a few seconds. Jack looked at me with alert. I waved my hand and laughed. Don't be nervous. I just want to give it to you openly. Jack frowned. What do you mean by this? I can get it to you if you want, but you can't snatch it, understand? Dear brother. Jack's face turned pale instantly, and the coffee in his hand spilled out. He placed the coffee on the table, looking at me in shock. He thought I didn't know, but he's actually my half-brother. We haven't seen each other for over 20 years, and when we meet again, we both pretend not to know each other. But the moment I heard his name, I predicted it was him. He must have recognized me the day of the car accident. That's right. If you want to pursue Chloe, how could you not inquire about her husband's information? Knowing my stepmother, when Jack and Chloe get together, she will pull Jack and apologize to me, and then Jack will sob with tears in his eyes. Brother, it's all my fault. I didn't know Chloe was your wife. Just kidding. If I can foresee these things, I would never let them happen. Thinking back to how that mother and son dealt with my mother and me back then, my mother was kicked out of the house, even leaving with nothing. I understood one thing: strike first and gain the upper hand. After a long silence, the corners of my mouth turned up, revealing a friendly smile. I planned to divorce Chloe. Hearing this, Jack, who was originally in low spirits, instantly perked up, looking at me with a glint in his eyes. However, you won't become her husband. That will be written into the divorce agreement, I added. Before Jack could even process the surprise, I'd plunged him into hell. His eyes turned red, and his lips trembled. Brother, we were young back then. I didn't understand anything. I was innocent. All these years, Mom and Dad have been trying to find you. I won't say much, but we're blood-related brothers. Raising my hand to stop him from continuing with emotional appeal, I scoffed. Jack, I fell for your tricks once. There won't be a second time. Save your acting. Jack's face darkened. He hadn't expected me to be so unyielding, impervious to persuasion. Then he leaned back lazily in his chair. Chloe complained to me that your marriage has a lot of problems, that being with you is exhausting. I didn't deny it. Maybe, but you still don't have a chance. With that, I stood up to leave. Brother, if I get you to divorce Chloe, I'll be the one who profits. I glanced at him out of the corner of my eye. Stop being so damn self-important. You're just a fuse at best. I pushed open the door and left. After returning home, I started picking at Chloe, finding all sorts of reasons to argue and give her the cold shoulder. After all, we're getting divorced. It wouldn't be right to be too affectionate. And if she's going to find a replacement, why pick my stepmother's son, who has a grudge against me? The wedding company contacted me to discuss the specific arrangements for the wedding venue. I told them directly to postpone the wedding and talk about it later. When Chloe heard that the wedding was canceled, she came home to question me. I took out the divorce agreement from my bag. Take a look. If you have no objections, sign it. Ethan, have you lost your mind? Chloe looked at me with disbelief. Sitting calmly on the sofa, I looked at her expressionlessly. Do I look like I've lost my mind? You know better than anyone how things have been between us these past few years. We've been on the verge of divorce for a long time. Chloe took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. Is it because of Jack? I know he's your half-brother. I threw the divorce agreement at her, finally losing control and yelling, You know Jack's shit. If you knew about my relationship with him, you shouldn't have gotten close to him. I know, but I angrily pointed my finger at Chloe. Having a little money makes you feel important, doesn't it? Makes you think you can look down on everyone, doesn't it? Her mouth hung open slightly. Her eyes widened. Her face filled with disbelief. I had never been this angry in all the years we'd been married. After a long while, Chloe reached out and hugged me. I just wanted you to reconcile with your father. I've been hesitating whether or not to do this for some time, but I didn't expect you to find out. Could I have misunderstood her? Thinking of this, the anger in my heart turned into sadness, and tears involuntarily streamed down my face. Chloe, you don't know anything at all. Chloe shook her head. No, that's not true. I know you saw a psychologist 5 years ago. I know everything. Pushing Chloe away, I said, Don't advise others to be kind when you haven't experienced their suffering. You don't know how my family fell apart back then. My father's millions went to my mother, leaving her with nothing, and she lost custody of me. She became depressed and spent her days melancholy. Chloe looked at me with disbelief. Maybe you misunderstood, just like you misunderstood my relationship with Jack. I gave him the car because my flirtatious best friend, Lily, likes him. I used a car to attract his attention. After all, he's still your brother. You don't understand. That woman took Jack and stole our home, flaunting their power, driving my mother away, transferring assets, and even trying to murder me. If I hadn't left home early, you wouldn't be seeing me now. Now, regardless of whether Chloe sees Jack as just an older brother, Jack is determined to follow in his mother's footsteps and steal what's mine. Picking up the divorce agreement from the floor, I handed it to Chloe. Remember? We agreed when we got married that if either of us wanted a divorce, the other wouldn't stop it. You can decide how to divide the property, but I require that your future husband not be Jack. Chloe didn't take the divorce agreement, just looked at me with red eyes. Ethan, how can you do this to me? Then she grabbed my shoulders and pushed me against the wall. Why? What did I do to make you so cruel to me? Gently pushing her hand away, I looked out the window. Chloe, you'll thank me years from now. You can't test human nature. Chloe hugged my waist, burying her face in my chest. Husband, do we really have to come to this? Don't be like this. Please, President Chloe, consider that after all these years, even if I haven't been particularly helpful, I've at least put in the effort. Chloe looked up and glared at me, in stark contrast to my calm face and unwavering eyes. Chloe pushed me away, picked up the pen on the table, and scribbled her name on the divorce agreement. Throwing the pen down, she shoved the agreement into my hand and turned to leave. After finishing the formalities, I bought groceries and went to my mom's apartment to cook. Even though I left with nothing, my mom eventually found a job to support herself. Once she had income, my mom fought for me to come live with her, and from then on, we mother and son depended on each other. That was until I married Chloe. She said she wasn't comfortable living with her mother-in-law, so I moved out. Seeing me open the door, a smile instantly appeared on my mom's face. Then she looked behind me. Good son, why didn't you bring your wife? I paused for a second. If I told her now that I had just divorced Chloe, she'd probably explode. So I could only make the excuse that she had a meeting. My mom made an "oh" sound, then reminded me, Chloe is quite successful now. Isn't it time to consider having a baby? Seeing my troubled expression, my mom took my hand. Is Chloe avoiding it? When you were busy with work, it was understandable. But isn't her company pretty stable now? She can't keep making excuses, can she? Throughout the meal, my mom sighed several times over this matter. If I continued with Chloe, I might end up like my mom, depressed, insecure, and constantly worrying about what Chloe was doing outside. I could only respond with, let's take it slow, let nature take its course. Back when Chloe and I were renting that basement room, Chloe had talked about children. No resources, no time. Having a child would only put more pressure on me. Thinking about the financial situation and the fact that we were both busy from morning to night, it really wasn't the right time to have children. Back then, Chloe was innocent and kind, saying that if the business failed and went bankrupt, she could still break up with me and let me find someone else. She was severely punished after saying that, and from then on, the couple worked together wholeheartedly, which led to success. Looking back on the past, although it was difficult, I could talk to Chloe about anything. In public, she was a cold, icy beauty and CEO, but at home, she was playful and mischievous with me. She would rush in while I was showering and often smack my butt. She always liked to grab my hem, a complete female hooligan. Memories faded like passing clouds. After the meal, I was about to tell my mom about the divorce. She got up to clear the dishes, and while doing so, she lectured me. A woman, a child can tie up her heart. Having a child will bring stability. I couldn't help but retort, that person became rich, Mom. You gave birth to me, and in the end, you got nothing. Hearing this, my mom froze and her face turned pale. Realizing I'd said the wrong thing, I quickly stood up. I'm sorry, Mom. I misspoke. My mom shook her head. I'm the one who should be apologizing for not fulfilling my responsibilities as a mother. Mom looked at me and wiped her tears with her sleeve. It's good that you understand my good intentions. You're a good child. You'll take care of your family. Yeah, I divorced Chloe. You don't have to worry about that anymore. I took out the divorce certificate from my pocket. Mom looked at me in surprise, snatched the green booklet from my hand, opened it, and examined it carefully. After reading it, she slapped my arm. Ethan, are you trying to kill me? Chloe was so good to you, and now you're so arrogant. Seeing Mom's heartbroken look, I grabbed a bottle of Conquering Paradise from the refrigerator and took a big gulp. Don't worry, I got a lot of money in the divorce. We'll be set for life. And then what? Is that all you're satisfied with? Mom glared at me, still reeling from the news of my divorce. I nodded. Of course. What's not to be satisfied with? I took the initiative to file for divorce. And after Jack released the news, he would only demean me and praise Chloe. This would not only not harm her or the company, but would actually cause the stock price to skyrocket. Mom watched me drink one mouthful after another, sat beside me, and whispered, "You too? Is there really no chance of getting back together?" I knew Mom always liked Chloe. She used to be cultured, reasonable, thrifty, and good at managing the household. After becoming rich, she often bought things for Mom and acted like a demure and extremely filial wife when she was with me. But she didn't understand that a woman standing at the peak of her career couldn't see the scenery at the foot of the mountain. She didn't even have time to recall or think about the people who used to be around her. They gradually faded away, becoming distant. Mom, you know what? After we separated, I felt refreshed, slept well, and had a great appetite. Mom pulled out a few tissues to wipe her tears. Her voice choked with emotion. It's all Mom's fault. I was kicked out back then, and that made you lose faith in marriage. I smiled and shook my head. Don't talk nonsense, Mom. It has nothing to do with that. Several partners in her company are divorced. I've seen a lot. Some things are inevitable. What I didn't say was that even those who weren't divorced were tacitly playing their own games. Mom grabbed my hand with heartache. Chloe is different from them. She's not like that. You have to believe her. Mom only saw one side of the story and didn't realize the other side. I took a sip of wine and continued, Mom, I'm just an ordinary office worker. But Chloe hasn't reached the end yet. She won't be satisfied with being the richest person in one city. In a few years, she might even go global and become a world-renowned businesswoman. Chloe indeed never made me feel wronged, but as her status and wealth grew day by day, and our lives became more affluent, I felt increasingly uneasy. Before, everyone knew my name, but later everyone just kept calling me President Chloe's husband. Leaving the apartment where Mom lived, I packed my luggage and started a round-the-world trip. From South America to Antarctica and then to the Maldives. As I was drinking juice and watching the beauties on the beach, my phone rang. I saw it was my cheap old man, who only called once every few years. I answered the phone, and a deep, slightly hoarse voice came from the other end. Ethan, I heard you divorced Chloe. Why don't you come work at Dad's company? In the end, this company will still be given to you brothers. I chuckled. Jack's father, you're getting more and more confused as you get older. Your company is already failing. Otherwise, why would you be so happy about just an AMG? The sound of my old man coughing continuously came from the other end of the phone, followed by the woman's voice. Ethan, don't be so smug. After my son wins over Chloe in a while, we'll invite you to the wedding. You must come. I snorted coldly and said into the phone, Old woman, you're just as shameless as you were back then. I heard my cheap old man scolding her on the phone. Two brothers fighting over one woman. Have you no shame? Jack can marry anyone, but absolutely not Chloe. Old man, are you senile? Don't you know what Chloe is like now? If it weren't for her orders every year, this crappy company would have gone bankrupt a long time ago. I don't care. That kind of fickle woman will never set foot in my Jack family. Oh, you're so noble, so capable, back in the day. I scoffed and hung up the phone directly. It's pointless to listen to their argument. That man married his mistress, and now his own son wants to be someone else's mistress. Truly, what goes around comes around. Just as I was having the time of my life, traveling the world, my mom called. Son, that guy surnamed, he sent over some documents. It seems he wants to transfer part of his assets to you. I frowned and asked, What? Is the old geezer about to kick the bucket? My mom sighed. Probably not that soon. Maybe he's just getting old, and his conscience is bothering him. I snorted. Mom, tell him that the settlement I got from the divorce is 100 times more than his assets. I don't need his petty money. Not everyone is as stingy with their original spouse as he was. That's true. He can't compare to Chloe. Just as I was about to hang up, my mom suddenly said, Oh, by the way, Chloe's been coming over for dinner every day lately. She even apologizes if she can't make it. I responded nonchalantly. My mom added, She didn't come around this often when you were married. And Chloe hasn't had any scandals lately. I felt inexplicably annoyed. Mom, you don't have to entertain her anymore if she comes. After traveling for over 2 months, I finally started to feel a bit out of place wandering around abroad. Just 2 days after returning home, David called and said there was a high school reunion and that I absolutely had to be there. Since I'm unemployed now, it seems unreasonable to say I'm busy. The reason I don't like going to high school reunions is because it's all about eating, drinking, having fun, gossiping, one-night stands, and showing off. When David and I reached the door of the private room, everyone inside was chatting merrily. I told you guys back then Chloe and Ethan would get divorced sooner or later. Who doesn't want to have a good time when they have money? Yeah, Ethan must be regretting it to death now. He was a poor bastard for a few years and ended up with nothing. If you ask me, things would have been different if he had chosen Anna back then. Then another person stood up and said, "Don't be so bitter. Have you seen the news? It's the highest divorce settlement in the country. Even if Ethan is down on his luck now, his assets still beat us all." Also, a reminder to everyone, Anna isn't married yet. The person who was just put down didn't give up and asserted, Chloe must have been playing around too much and wronged Ethan. Otherwise, why would that nice guy choose to get a divorce? That's right. On the surface, he got an astronomical amount of money for the breakup fee, but he's probably crying like a dog in private. But he's a poodle-level dog, huh? Hearing this, I smiled and looked at David. This high school reunion is truly full of hidden talents. David touched his nose. It's just that Zhang Chong doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. It's the first time the whole class has gotten together since graduation. A lot of people came for you. Just bear with it. Well, he's a famous lawyer for a reason. He said all the right things. But there's some truth to it. I have pretty good people skills. And I'm still the richest, even if that money is the divorce settlement Chloe gave me. I pushed open the door and entered. Long unseen high school classmates stood up one after another to greet me. David is the class president and the organizer of this reunion. He clapped his hands to attract everyone's attention. We're all old classmates. Tonight, let's eat, drink, and have fun to our heart's content. Whoever has the most savings pays the bill. After he finished speaking, he patted my back. Everyone immediately understood who the sucker was going to be and applauded and cheered. The atmosphere in the room became unusually lively. After everyone gradually quieted down, I smiled helplessly and had no choice but to go along with it. Everyone, enjoy yourselves tonight. After a few rounds of drinks, David put his arm around my shoulder and said, "Originally, we planned to have a 12th grade alumni reunion, but we thought it was too much trouble and just dropped it." I understood what David meant. Chloe, the school beauty of our graduating class, was the most famous and wealthiest of our alumni. Ethan, cheers. I really envy you. Both of our school beauties were fighting over you back then. Anna still isn't married. The person offering the toast was a high school classmate, but I didn't remember him well. I drank a glass with him, and then he looked at everyone and said, "If you ask me who I admired most in high school, it has to be our big brother Ethan. He married Bai, the school beauty, when her company was bankrupt, and divorced her when she became the richest person in the city." Everyone laughed at this. Seeing this, David quickly clapped his hands to attract attention. "Class reunion, let's not just talk about Ethan. It's been years since we've seen each other. Let's each talk about our own situations." With David's interruption, the class reunion gradually returned to normal. Everyone introduced their work, studies, and lives. Before long, the door to the private room was pushed open. Before she even arrived, her voice came first. "David, you're going too far. Such an important occasion like a class reunion, and you didn't even invite me? You should at least let me host and treat everyone to a meal." The playful, bell-like voice instantly attracted everyone's attention. Looking up, a beauty in an OL uniform walked into the private room, her high heels clicking as she walked. Seeing this, David smiled awkwardly. "I thought President Chloe was busy with work, so I didn't want to bother you." The classmates, seeing the legendary female tycoon and school beauty, instinctively stood up. Chloe smiled and pulled out a chair to sit down, saying somewhat helplessly, "That won't do. I have to come no matter how busy I am, or my husband really will divorce me." As soon as Chloe said this, everyone's eyes focused on me, their faces full of doubt and shock. I wondered to myself, why is this aloof, ice-cold beauty president always bothering me? And we've already signed the divorce agreement, gotten the divorce certificate, and are living separately. What else does she want? Seeing my awkward expression, David, who knew the reasons, quickly interjected, "Brother Ethan, you're a golden bachelor now. What requirements do you have for your future partner? If you really can't find anyone, I could go to Thailand for a makeover." I rested my chin on my hand and thought seriously. Someone more mature, an older sister type, who knows how to care for people. Chloe's face darkened upon hearing this. This question I was asked by Anna, my supervising doctor and classmate, when I went to see a psychologist in the afternoon. "Ethan, now that you're divorced, what type are you planning to find?" My answer at that time was the old Chloe. Anna chuckled softly. "You still don't leave me any face. When a girl asks this question, you should answer someone like you even if you're lying." I sighed softly. "Sorry, Anna. You know me. I'll only ever love one person in this life, even if we're separated." The reunion was coming to an end, and I left early. I ran into Anna, who hadn't left. "Did you drink? I'll drive you back." Sitting in the passenger seat, looking at Anna's exquisite makeup and stunning beauty, I thought about livening up the atmosphere. "Anna, now if I snap my fingers, you'll forget that you ate shit." I snapped my fingers directly. Anna was stunned for a moment and raised her hand to stop me. "Wait, I didn't eat any." I nodded. "I know." Seeing my perfunctory answer, Anna quickly emphasized, "I didn't eat any. Can you understand?" I understand. "I really didn't eat any." I nodded in agreement. "Of course I understand." Anna was getting a little anxious. No, you can't just say some random things and then say I ate it. I didn't forget. So you do remember? I didn't eat it, you understand?" Right. You didn't eat it, of course." Anna raised her little fist and hit me. Her voice raised several decibels. "I didn't eat it. Didn't eat it." I grabbed her hand. Okay, let's not think about things we've forgotten. It's okay. Knock. There was a knocking sound from outside the car window. Looking in the direction of the sound, it was my ex-wife, Chloe, who was looking at us with a disgruntled expression. I opened the door and got out of the car. "You're quick on your feet, finding a replacement so fast." Chloe gnashed her silver teeth, glared at me, pulled me behind her, and then suddenly slapped Anna, who had just gotten out of the car. Anna staggered and almost fell. I quickly grabbed Chloe. "What are you doing?" I didn't expect Chloe to hit someone, just because Anna and I had a little affectionate interaction. Chloe's chest heaved violently. "She deserves it." I wanted to say that we were already divorced, and it wasn't her business who I was close to. But then I heard Chloe point at Anna and say, "Anna, is it okay to scheme against me like this?" Anna touched her face and looked directly at Chloe. "I did have the idea of scheming against you, but I also told you that this approach was risky and could very well fail in the end. Putting oneself in a desperate situation isn't suitable for everyone." Realizing the abnormality between the two women, I calmed down and looked at them. Anna is my psychologist. I didn't tell Chloe about this before because I was afraid she would be jealous. Chloe pulled me towards a rockery pond. The evening breeze stirred her long hair, bringing a faint fragrance. Chloe looked up at me slightly. "A few months ago, Anna told me that you had serious psychological problems and felt insecure about your family and marriage. Only by reconciling with your original family could you resolve your inner demons." Hearing this, I frowned but didn't say anything, preparing to listen to her continue. Chloe glanced at the pond. At that time, the company was about to go public, and the City Evening News was going to interview me. Knowing that that person was your half-brother, I thought about contacting him. Maybe it could solve your problem. And at that time, my fickle best friend, Lily, was pursuing Jack. I was worried that she would play with your brother's feelings, so I pretended to be ambiguous with him to prevent Lily from harming him. My thoughts were a bit muddled, and I didn't know how to respond. Chloe clenched her pink fist, her teeth clenched. That woman Anna schemed against me. There's no possibility of you reconciling with Jack and his mother. By doing this, I'll only make you, who is already insecure, stay away from me. Looking into Chloe's eyes, I knew she wouldn't lie, and the truth of the matter had come to light. "Let's remarry, prepare for pregnancy, and then I'll give you a litter, okay?" Thinking of the usually quirky and mischievous Anna, this was indeed her style. Even Chloe, who was usually so clever, had been fooled by her. I sighed. "Thank you for resolving one of my inner demons, but the divorce is still valid." You and I are about to walk different paths. I want to live a simple life with a wife, children, and a warm bed. You want to strive for a career and become a high achiever. Everything was different from what Chloe had expected, and she became a little exasperated. If you think I have too much money, I'll donate it all. I shook my head helplessly. Let me go, and let yourself go. We have different paths and cannot work together. Chloe's eyes were full of sadness, and then, as if she had given up, she said, "Then come home and have a couple of drinks with me." When I woke up again, it was already daylight. Looking at the torn Balenciaga and underwear on the floor, I fell into deep thought. In the days that followed, Chloe stopped pestering me and turned her attention to my mother. A month later, while my mom and I were having dinner, she pulled out a pregnancy test. I couldn't understand it, but my mom's eyes lit up after seeing it, and she immediately went to make soup for Chloe. This day, I took Chloe for a prenatal checkup. I saw a handsome guy next to us wearing sunglasses and driving a Ferrari. He looked so cool. "What's wrong, husband? Do you want it?" I stared intently at the Ferrari. "Yeah, I want it. If you like it, I'll buy you one." I turned to look at Chloe. "Really? That's got to be expensive." Chloe said decisively, "Of course. Isn't the point of making money to improve our quality of life? Besides, who else am I going to spend my money on if not my husband?" I gave Chloe a kiss on the cheek. "Then when are we going to the auto show?" Chloe looked at me puzzled. "Why would we go to the auto show to buy sunglasses?"